Hey, kia ora everyone, it's Chris and EOS here from Bayleys. This quick roundup of what's been happening in the NZ real estate market. And EOS, the sentiment for today's kind of maybe some opportunities around the market getting a boost, which is quite cool.
Right. So, Stats NZ just released their latest GDP data. So the GDP decreased by 0.9% for the June 2025 quarter, which is much lower than expectations. So a lot of economists, they are calling for more aggressive OCR cut in the near future.
Yeah, and that could be an interesting one where maybe bad news for the economy is good news for the property market, because if interest rates end up lower than expected, that could be quite a good thing. So kind of interesting. We also had some data out of the Ministry for Housing and Urban Development. This was quoted by Radio NZ, and they had done a study looking at rental tenancies and about what was happening with rents. So 33,000 tenancies over a 500-day period. What they found was when they compared the rent for the old tenancy and the new tenancy, in 41% of cases the rent had stayed the same, which is kind of maybe what you'd expect. And then in 30% of cases though, the rent actually ended up lower than it was previously. And we think that this is probably driven by the migration trend, particularly impacting that lower end of the rental market. But just an interesting one where I guess the GDP stats point towards a slower economy, maybe interest rates coming down a little bit lower, flip side rental markets becoming a little bit challenging, so a bit of a mixed signal in there. Next up though, we've got holiday home sales snapshots. Figured we'd go for a couple of recent auction sales. Now, EOS, you've got one in Queenstown.
Yeah, so the first one is 22 Shelduck Road in Hanley's Farm, Queenstown. Stunning home and income, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms on 523 square meters. Modern family home with bonus of income potential, located in one of Queenstown's most popular neighborhoods, marketed by Jessica Colburn and Jimmy Allen from Bayleys Frankton, sold under the hammer at auction for $1.875 million.
Yeah, cool. And then over in the Coromandel, so pretty cool sale, we've got 224 Beverley Terrace in Whangamata, commanding beachfront, 4 beds, 2 baths on 1,700 square metres. So this was one of the most exclusive beachfront offerings to hit the market of Whangamata. Absolute waterfront, marketed by Dale Sholson and Gordon McGrath from Bayleys Whangamata. This one sold under the hammer at auction for an astounding $8.5 million. So just a massive sale there for obviously a really cool spot in Whangamata.
Right.
Next up, just going offshore for a moment. So you'll probably be aware that Bayleys and Knight Frank acquired a major Australian agency, McGrath, probably about a year or two ago. Now, they've just put out some research on what's happening in the Australian housing markets. Thought we'd give you a quick coverage of Sydney. So for Sydney, over the past 12 months, prices have gone up 3.9%. The median sale price in Sydney at the moment is Australian 1.3 million. Sydney market's been a little bit slower over the past quarter with fewer sales. But what they're likely to see is that interest rate reductions will give that market a bit of a boost. So if you are after a bit of info about what's happening in Australia, we'll chuck a link in the description, and that covers both Sydney and a bunch of the other major markets over there as well. Yeah. And then finally, to wrap up, we've got Property of the Week. Now, EOS, you've got a little bit of an interesting one in Ponsonby.
Yeah, sure. So my property of the week is 18 Trinity Street in Ponsonby, Auckland. Ponsonby Prestige Rare Villa Opportunity. 4 bedrooms, 1 bathroom on 620 square meters. First time on the market in decades. Perfect canvas for your next project. Surrounded by some of Ponsonby's finest homes. Contact Jack Kruger or Pavel Smaga from Bayleys Ponsonby.
And then for me, on the Coromandel, I've got 4 Opito Bay Road in Opito Bay. A classic Opito Bay beachfront location, 2 beds, 1 bath on 809 square metres. Classic 1980s batch directly across the road from the beach. If you want to learn more about this one, contact Linda Bird or Marcus Holmes from Bayleys Whitianga. Well, that said, we'll wrap it up here. So thanks very much, EOS.
Thanks.
Sweet, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.